Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel Say What's Real TV. This review is for Tyler Perry's Sistas, Season 5, Episode 15. Two can play that game. So we open up the episode where we left off last week with Preston proposing to Danny. Danny is like, what the hell? Told him to get up off his knees and flat out just, it was a no for her. He kept insisting, want to know why, and they have to go through this banter back and forth. She did tell him that she did love him, but, you know, a piece of paper really wasn't going to change anything. And Preston was like, well, what will? And she was like having her heart, I guess, and her heart just was not into whatever the hell they got going on right now. You know, they barely can get along. So I don't know what is all this, everybody trying to get married and rush and all of this, but it's just not going to work. So they make it to the next morning. They get up. Danny, she already dressed for work, trying to head out. Preston claiming she trying to sneak out. Like, what the hell she got to sneak out for? So she asks him what he getting ready to do for the day. Because, I mean, I'm getting ready to go to work, but you still laying your ass in the bed. You know, what? Doing what? You been stuck in the house ever since he got there. Like, what does he do? So he said he getting ready to catch a flight and take his butt back home. Like, what did you even come there for? Like, I'm still confused. So some kind of way he threw back up in her face about going, since she don't want him, he gonna go marry the other girl. Preston, please. Take your ass back to where you came from and go marry your little chick, okay? I don't know if she make-believe or she for real. But whatever it is, take your ass on back, please, because no one cares. No one cares. We already told you this back at the airport the first time you threw it up in our face. Danny don't care, and we as the audience don't care. You don't throw no other chick up in our face, honey. That's not what you're going to do. Now, take your ass on, and like she said, well, I guess I see your ass at the airport. Toodles. So later on, we see Danny at work. Q comes up to the counter, and he starts talking about the night before when they went out to have drinks. He then keeps proceeding to ask her to go over to her house so they can, you know, hang out again and have some drinks and smoke some weed and this and that. He asked this girl to come to her house at least 3 or 4 or 5 times. I don't know, but it was annoying because after the second time, I would have been turned off and would have really been asking you, like, why do you want to come to my house so bad? But Danny, she kept telling him no. She told him she was in a situation. She asked him what's up with the ankle monitor. He told her that he had to whip somebody up because of his mom and that he will do it again if need be. And it looked to me like Danny thought that was a little touching or something, but Danny, don't be no fool, girl, because that's not even what happened, because he's a big-ass liar. But anyway, Danny then tells this nut that she was looking him up on social media. Like, why would you even tell him that, Danny? You were supposed to keep that to yourself if you was going to low-key be a little stalker. But my question is, why are you looking him up? Did you look Jonah up? Did you look up Logan? Did you look up the stripper? Did you look up anybody else? It seems you're a bit intrigued, Danny. I think you kind of like him, but she kept telling him no and this and that and the other. But hell, she told him no last week for having drinks, and guess what? She ended up sitting in the club or restaurant having drinks. So Q, he knows that he can break her, so he says, I'm going to leave you with my phone number, and I want you to text me your address. And Danny is standing up there like, hello, like, don't you hear me talking to you? Don't you hear me telling you no or whatever? But Q, he don't hear that because he already knows she just faking. That he got her one time, he can break her down again. So I can guarantee that Danny will text Q that address. So I don't know. I don't know, Danny. I don't want you to get cased up here, girl. But it's sure looking like you gonna fall for Q. And side note, it's been at least 2 days or so since Calvin beat up Q, where the hell Q been living at? Where he staying at? He hiding out in the airport at night? Where he taking a bath at? Because he's still showing up for work on time. Look like where he been living at? We want to know. So we go over to Sabrina's and she has Calvin over there. He comes out her bathroom talking about don't go in there as if he done blew it up or something, like it wasn't funny. Calvin, just sit down somewhere. So she says she was thinking about Maurice and she starts thanking Calvin about not getting mad about Bio. But it seemed to me that he was mad about Bio. You know, he held it in a little bit, but I mean, he didn't start a fight, but he got a little in his feelings about it. But, you know, she was thanking him, and then they went into this long, drawn-out conversation. Tears went to rolling. Basically, she is worried about her job, being labeled as a felon, not being able to get a job anywhere else, and she's the sole provider for her mom, and her mom is really sick. And in the midst of all of that, she did ask Calvin, could he stay the night with her because she didn't really want to be by herself. And of course, you know, Calvin is like, you know, he'll do whatever it is she wants him to do. Like all the men say that. Like all the men now, all of a sudden, it's whatever you like. Preston said it just in the scene with Danny. Just like they all want to be like this Aaron. They're trying to make all the men like Aaron. Like, I'm at your beck and call. Child. So the next morning over at Sabrina's, they get a phone call from Maurice. Calvin, he puts it on the speakerphone and he have a little attitude. And, Calvin trying to be nice, asking him how he doing. He was like, stop asking me them dumbass questions, basically. He finds out Sabrina is there and he give her a little attitude and talk about, oh, I see y'all still bumping cats. I'm like, that damn Maurice is so silly. I was hollering. So she was like, he told her what the prosecutor said about her and Q working together, and she was like, he is lying. And Maurice was like, yeah, I know. I'm like, Maurice, if you knew, why did you take us through all of that? I mean, really? So she told him she was going to go and see Andy and to call her back in about an hour. They keep trying to tell him they going to get him out. He like, hurry up. I'm fighting for my virginity in here. I'm like, oh my God. Maurice is so silly. He is so silly. So after she told him to make sure he called her back or whatever, he was like, fine. So they hang up with him. And then Calvin was like, okay, come on, let's go. I'm going with you. And Sabrina like, excuse me? No, you're not. She was like, no, I got to handle this by myself. So Calvin says he's going to go to work. I'm like, what Calvin work at? I don't ever recall hearing him say he going to work before. He might have, but, I barely pay him any attention. So I don't even know. But where he work at? So we go over there to the penthouse and Robin calls Andy for the number to the long shark. She's like, well, are you going to use it? I mean, like, didn't he call to get the number? So he told her he doesn't have a choice at this point. So she was like, I'm sorry. And he's like, what you sorry for? So they have this long little banter back and forth. He was like, well, thanks for the heads up, and said that like twice. I don't know why. And she was like, oh, no, I didn't give you the heads up. Then he starts talking about Gary and how cunning and shrewd of a business person he is. And she's like, well, I've never dealt with him in the business aspect of it all. She ends up asking him for a favor, and he wants to, I don't know if he was joking. He was like, well, I'm on my way. And she didn't say anything. And he was like, well, unless Gary is on his way. I'm like, Robin, just leave it alone. So she was like, Maurice Webb. And once again, he was like the co-defendant. And he said, can you vouch for all these people? And she was like, yes, I absolutely can. And she was like, well, he said, I don't have another $1 million to help you bail out anybody. You know my situation. She was like, well, could you at least help me get into the jail to see him? And he was like, well, I'll see what I can do. I'll call you tomorrow. So as soon as Andy hangs the phone up with Robin, in walks Gary. And he's like, oh, I thought you were asleep. She was like, no, I was on the phone. He said, oh, yeah, I heard you. And he said, well, who was that? Andy looked at him all crazy like, excuse me, we're not going to be doing that. And she said, were you listening to my conversation? He said, yeah, I heard you. She said, why? And he said, well, I heard voices in here. I thought you was in here with somebody. And she looking at him like, well, what if I was in here with somebody? She's trying to say like this is her place, but Andy, you gave him a key, and that makes him think he can come and go as he pleases. So would you really have somebody up in there knowing that he has a key to come in there? So why even allude to that? Like, well, what if I did have somebody type attitude? Like, girl, don't. Andy thinks she is big and bad. Like, she swears she is so bad. But she better pay attention to Gary and these signs, because they slowly leaking back out. He going back to the old Gary. She better be paying attention while she thinks she's sitting on top of the world. So Gary was like, look, I don't want to fight with you or whatever. Do I have your permission? Because that's how he was acting. So to go in here and take the shower, because I was just playing basketball. I just want to take a bath and go to bed. She was like, yes, you can go and take a shower, and basically let him know, hurry up, because she need to be taken care of herself. So Gary, he rushes in the bathroom, but he's going in there to call Hayden. Hayden in the hotel room over there with Tamara, trying to get it on, and he's explaining to Gary, look here, I got me a bad bee. I'm getting ready to tear this thing up. Gary like, Hayden, look, I think Robin knows about the call. Hayden like, okay, and don't he already know that? So Gary was like, no, I think he has a way out. And he feels like Andy is up to something. And so Hayden was like, well, I think he's too leveraged to have a way out. And told Gary, look, you're going to have to handle this one on your own tonight, because he is over there busy and he don't give a damn about Robin and what's going on. Child, Hayden didn't want to hear all of that. So they end up hanging up. Tamara, she comes out, got her towel on. She's trying to make him feel good, saying all the right things. And, they end up kissing and doing their little thing. I was like, all right, Hayden, you finally getting you some. So go ahead. Go ahead, child. So we head over there to Zach and Fatima's, and they're both getting ready to head out. They're both dressed nicely. They looking good. She's looking at her man, and he looking so good, she want to know where he going at. He was like to see his attorney, because he need to get this process started with the paperwork for these baby mamas to sign. She asked him about Heather. Zach say Heather over there playing games, not answering his phone calls, and wants to know, is it pointless to even be calling her since she already done hooked up with Hayden? So Fatima tells him that she already got something in the works for Hayden. She got a little plan in motion. And I was quite surprised that she just now telling Zach, and she told Andy before she told Zach. And I don't understand that. It seemed like Zach should have been the only one she told if she won't tell it. But anyway, so Zach was like, he was headed over to the salon and wanted to know if Fatima was going to come with him. And she basically told him, no, I trust you. We're going to put a pin in that. Episode 15, season 5. Fatima said, I trust you. If you're going to do something, you're going to do it whether I'm there or not. And you better believe it, child. So anyway, he was like all shocked and appalled. Like, oh, I can't believe this, like, cool, whatever. He notices that she's wearing her engagement ring. Finally, it's bling blinging, icy cold, shining, and all bright and stuff. And, they do their little playful banner that we love. And they both head out. We go to the law firm where Andy goes into Robin's office to give him the number for the loan shark. Once again, she asks him, are you going to use it? What the hell else he going to do with it, Andy? He called you for the number, didn't he? I mean, girl. Then she want to know how much time he got. Andy is so nosy, right? She is really nosy. She really is like Bay News 9. Like, she want to ask everybody all these questions about what they got going on. But when Gary asked her ass who she was on the phone with last night, she was damn like crickets. I mean, zippity zip zip, closed mouth. Like, you can't ask her no questions, but she damn sure gonna ask you every damn thing. Girl. So they have this little brief conversation. She leaves. She goes to her office. And we see Fatima comes in there and brings her some coffee. Fatima tries to walk towards the door to leave, and of course, Andy makes her sit down. She wants to know what did she think about last night. Fatima tells her what she thought. She asked her what she thought about the baby being Zach, and Fatima was like, hey, it is what it is. That was before my time. And Andy wants to know how she can remain so calm in this kind of situation. And hey, Fatima just a cool chick like that. So Fatima asked Andy what was she doing in the situation, and she claimed she didn't know. So Fatima had to bring her back to reality, like, girl, that situation you and Gary had before was real crazy. And she gonna give Fatima this little look like like she thought everybody forgot. No, girl, we still remember the married man Gary and his wife and all that stuff you done went through with him. Uh-huh. And still going through with your crazy self. So Andy notices Fatima wearing her engagement ring, and she asked to look at it real quick and said that it was pretty. Fatima asked her what did Karen think or how did she feel about the whole engagement thing. And at first, Andy acted like she didn't want to discuss it, which was fine. And like, oh, like Fatima. And Fatima like, look, hey, that's cool. You don't have to tell me anything, but just, keep in mind, don't ask me about my ring. She should have told her don't ask her anything. I mean, Andy, again, just like I said last week, if you stop inserting yourself, why do you sit there and badger Fatima for information that you really should not even want to know unless Fatima volunteers the information to you, which I don't know why she tells you everything. Anyway, I don't understand that. But yeah, just stay out of it. If she tells you something, that's fine. But don't sit there and y'all at work and you make her sit down in your chair to tell you her business. Why? Girl. But she ends up telling Fatima that Karen is fine. She thinks that she's in a good space with Aaron. And Fatima was like, well, that sounds great. Now both of them can leave them the hell alone. It was a winner for her. So Fatima, her phone starts ringing, and we see that it's Tamara. So Fatima asked her how was things going, and she told her that she had Hayden basically wrapped around her finger. She gave the whole rundown of how he didn't want to leave her. She was going to see him later that night, like he is really, he's really smitten by her. And he basically pillow talked and told her just about everything that was going on about Gary and trying to take over the company. Told her about Zach and talking about Zach took his ex from him, which is Fatima, but didn't say a name, and said that the ex was still in love with him. And Andy, she bust out laughing. I'm like, he is really delusional. They really need to, we need to revisit that whole thing with Hayden and Fatima, because it just seemed like they just threw that out there and thought that we really didn't catch it and then just try to brush over that, because I still need to understand how that happened. Like, Fatima, I need answers, girl. Like, I just really need answers on that. But, anyway. So she basically told her that, he over there wearing socks in his pants and just just watch how he acting when he come to work. Like she got him hooked, wrapped around her finger. So Fatima asked her to try to get him to drop his client Heather, and Tamara told Fatima to give her a week and she'll get the job done. So Fatima hangs up with Tamara, and Andy instantly starts asking questions again. And my thing is, Andy, you're acting like you haven't even heard about it before. The last time she was in your office and you made her sit down, she even showed you a picture and told you about it, and you were worried about whether she was planning on killing him or not. She told you no then. Now you sit here and say the exact same thing and tell her that you think it's a bit extravagant to be going through all of that. Like you just now hearing about it. Like, girl. Fatima, girl, stop telling this girl everything that you're doing. Move in silence, make your moves, and, get the stuff done, because telling Andy and keeping her abreast of what's going on with this whole Hayden thing, you're going to mess it up. It's going to be a fail, because I feel like Andy probably going to be pillow talking with Gary, who just learned that Hayden had some chick over there, and now he ain't gonna want to do the little job no more that they was planning on doing because he's so in love. And they gonna be talking, and Andy gonna be the one to tell Gary, and it's gonna mess up everything. Girl, keep your plans to yourself. So Fatima asks her, this whole hedge fund thing, is that your Scary Gary? And she, oh, don't call him Scary Gary. Like, girl, shut up. Scary Gary he is. And she was like, yeah, that's him, and told her that they trying to take over the company from Robin. So Fatima asked her, are you going to tell Robin? And she basically was like, no, I think he's a smart guy. He can figure it out on his own. Like, girl, you see, that Andy ain't worth a hill of beans. But you want him to go in there and help you see Maurice in jail, though. So Zach, he walks in a salon, and Pam yells out, damn, Zach. And he was like, you see me. And she gonna yell out, Karen. I'm like, girl, Karen chair is literally right in front of the door. She can see him walk in. So he goes in and he tells her, look, I sent you a message. She says that she got it. He told her, well, you didn't respond. So she looks at her phone and she realizes that she didn't hit send. So, Zach wasn't really tripping on it. So she was like, like, what, you thought I was pulling one of your numbers? And Zach looked at her like, excuse me? She was like, yeah, we used to stay out all night and this and that and the other. I'm like, girl, what? We didn't come here for that. Zach didn't come here for that, and we didn't come here for that, okay? So she going on, and Zach was like, can we not do this today? I came here with the documents. So she insists that he go to her back office or whatever, and he was like, I'm just trying to give you the paperwork. He wasn't trying to go to that back office. So he ends up going in there, and Pam gonna yell out, don't be effing back there. And of course, the whole salon, which is seemed like 1,000 people happen to be in there just today, because I've never seen it that busy, but everybody bust out laughing. And Zach, he gets in his feelings talking about, I don't see nothing funny. That's how rumors get started and blah, blah, blah. So they get in there, and so Zach gives Karen the papers, and she automatically tries to sign the paperwork. And Zach tells her, no, you can't do that. You need to read them, at least take them to Andy, so she can look over everything. Like, he does not want her to sign, which is a smart idea. So she doesn't sign, and she tells him about the letters that her mom helped her write or made her write, has her feeling much lighter, and they really helped her out. And he was like, that's good, that's good. And she was trying to have this good approach about everything and saying basically she was ready to move on and they're not getting any younger. And she says that Fatima is a cool chick and all of that. And I guess Zach was like, hold on now, I don't know what you got going on, what you're trying to do. But, I mean, those letters didn't make you change overnight. And she was like, yeah, I know. So, because we all know that you was just acting a donkey just last night. So we don't know if you got these split personalities. We don't know what's going on. But on a serious note, I appreciate the conversation that Karen is having. She's being mature about it, and she appears to be trying to move on. So I respect that. They had a nice conversation. Nothing was going on. You could tell they don't hate each other. I mean, as much as Zach, want to pout and act silly about stuff, he doesn't really hate Karen. But, she was, doing some things. So it is what it is. But I can respect their conversation and her trying to be mature and grown enough as a woman. Like, look, it's time to move the hell on. And she thanked him for but she congratulated him for his engagement and on fatherhood. So that was that. And she told him, look, I got to go out here and get back to my client. So the two of them, they go back up front where the rest of the customers are, and instantly Zach walks out talking about nothing happened in there, nothing happened. So he told Karen, goodbye, I'll see you later, and she gestures for him to come and give her a hug. So he hesitates at first, but he goes ahead and do it. It's all innocent enough, right? There's like 1,000 people in this salon, so they hug. She kisses him on the cheek, and she goes back to her client. Zach, he stands there looking kind of pleasantly surprised because, who is this Karen? Like, this is totally different. This is something new. Like, what is this? Zach just minding his business. He not thinking nothing of anything. He chilling. He got on his little suit. He just trying to get things done. That's all. He leaves. He tells Pam goodbye. Pam says, Fatima gonna kick your ass. He says, shut up, Pam. So we go over to Fatima's office and in walks Angela. She comes in there with this little worried look on her face, and Fatima was like, hey, what's going on? What's up? So she sits down and she's like, well, you and Zach, are y'all good? Fatima looking at her like, yeah, why? What's up? She said, well, don't fly off the handle. So she hands Fatima her phone, and on the phone we see a picture of Zach and Karen in the salon with the hug, kiss on the cheek. And, Fatima looking at the phone like, what the hell is this? And the episode ends there. So the big question is, who could have possibly taken this picture in Karen's salon? And my guess would be that it is Belinda from Zatima's. That is Fatima's friend, who had sex with Zach before. Zach didn't want to be bothered with her, so she went on this stalking kick where she ended up stalking Karen and started going to Karen to get her hair done. And she admitted all of that to Fatima. So as crowded as the salon was, Belinda could have been up in there somewhere, but just off camera. Because we have been through this Picturegate thing before on Zatima a few times. We had Fatima and Ian, her ex, sitting in a cafe, and Tony just so happened to be outside the cafe and could recognize Fatima from behind, and he took this whole picture of them hugging and took that back to Zach. Of course, Zach was hurt, distraught, and all of that. So he gets drunk and he goes to this party, and at the party, he's with Deja dancing, having a good time, and we find out later that Belinda, same person, was at this party and took a picture of Zach and Deja and sent it to Angela, the bone carrier, which at that time, Angela showed, well, she didn't show because Fatima kind of forced her to open her phone to see the picture, but Belinda did send it to Angela the same way Angela has this photo, and that's how Fatima saw the photo of Deja and Zach. But, we've been here before, so they have gotten through that. But we know that Fatima is going to go off a little piece or whatever, but she needs to look at the bigger picture and understand they've been here before and not to totally jump to conclusions. Because, again, what could they have possibly be doing in front of a whole crowd? And it wasn't a kiss. She just pecked him on the cheek. So Zach is innocent. I feel Zach is innocent. And I don't personally think that Karen set it up. I really don't. But hey, I could be wrong, but I don't see where the point of that would be after the entire conversation she just had. And Angela, girl, what I need for you to do is worry about Bryce. That's who you need to be worried about is good. Don't worry about Zach and Fatima. Every time somebody say something to you, you got to go run and tell something. And Fatima is at work. She is trying to get through her work day. So here you come carrying your little bones, and now Fatima got to get her purse and keys and go see what time it is, because Fatima is not getting ready to sit there until 5 o'clock and not know what the hell going on up at that salon. So she probably not going to go to the salon, but she finna leave work to go see where Zach ass at. She ain't going to just sit there like that, because anybody else would be like, let me get my keys. I'm finna get up out of here. Hey, Andy, I'm taking an early lunch. I'll holler. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.